Alright, I'm gonna do this thing with older stock footage from July instead of August. And yeah, it's pretty old, for me at least, because this was when I was still developing and I didn't have that book yet. Anti-statism circa 2011, but I had a lot of the writings that I was gonna use for it, and it could have all been assembled at that day for all I care. Anyway, so I'm gonna talk about, I think, the difference between power and control. And not just a difference. It's not just going to be a versus thing. It's going to be much deeper than that because I don't think that anarchists just get it. Like me, I'm an anarchist and I kind of get it, which is worse, in my opinion. Now let's play in a game of oversimplifications. Authority means having control legally, and power means having control by force. Control is natural in society. All things run deterministically. That's not to say there's no free will, but there's all things do work deterministically, whether or not there's free will. Anyway, yeah, that silence made no sense. So, what would authority be? Well, authority would be any legal agency, whether monocentric or polycentric. Anyone who runs that legal agency, even the public has some authority. If it's going to be a public polycentric legal agency instead of a private one, or it can even be public versus private monocentric legal agencies. But there's supposed to be some sort of type of authoritarian control. Power means having control by force. This is something that's horrible. I think that having a criminal who acts upon force is something that's undesirable in any form. But for the most part, bad behavior is something that's psychological, and criminology and other subjects try and explore how to prevent these things from occurring, yet I doubt that they'll come up with a 100% answer. Now, what really is dangerous is when authority and power fuse together. That means that it's no longer about legal control or control via force, but legal control via extortion. And that's a big change. Force is immediate, extortion isn't immediate. Extortion's delayed force. It's force on reverb, basically. And in many ways it could be even worse because it's authoritarian, it's legal, it's by those vital means. When you understand that it's the anarchist is basically focused on that little monopolistic thing. If you could make a pie chart, you'd have like from the x-axis authority and the y-axis force. When they both reach that z chart where they're in a perfect diagonal towards the origin, that's when you have that monopolistic value of control, which we would economistically see as the monopoly, the state, the monopoly of government. In many ways, you could consider this rare since it's actually me. It's looking at something in a very simplified economic standpoint instead of a civic or sociological standpoint. But hey, I can, or even geographical and just plain philosophical politics. But that's the fact. The state can also be interpreted in its economic standpoint of law as being the monopoly. It's not just a little analogy. there's that Z chart towards the origin, whereas authority would be the X and power would be the Y, or vice versa, whichever makes more sense to you. Regardless, yeah, I think authority would make more sense to the Y and power as the X. But whatever, I don't give a shit anymore. That's basically what I have to say. It's a giant analogy that basically gets you to understand what's the difference between authority and power, and also helps you understand what the anarchist is really after. He's really after avoiding that perfect monopolistic control, which is towards the z axis of the origin. And that's undesirable under most pro liberty ideologies, really. No, maybe not. But it doesn't matter. So I'm Leon Red. I might do a video tomorrow, which would probably mean 1 a.m. in the morning or 4 a.m. in the morning, but nobody gives a shit about my videos anyway. So I hope you have a nice night, and I hope that that rapist who's following you learns to keep it in or cut it off.